What's up, UFO peeps? The UFO and UAP, as they call it now, topic has gone weird lately. It's a hot topic. Cable news, all over it. Congress and senators are arguing with each other and calling each other out, scrambling for answers. Either they're trying to cover it up, which is not that many of them right now, or they're desperate for answers. We're getting warnings now. Not just calls from inside the house like we've had for the last 10 years saying it's true, but we're getting warnings like cut the bullshit and pay attention level warnings, 911 safety warnings about these things. And we have the previous director of the CIA. We have past presidents. We have Luis Elizondo, who is the head of the department in the Pentagon that is actively investigating UFOs and UAPs for real. He quit and went public recently, and the Pentagon said he's lying. He's full of it. He's totally not who he says he is. Immediately, the internet comes out full force and proves he's exactly who he says he is, and memos from Harry Schumer and others show he's exactly who he says he is. He's got all the credentials. It's real. He's for real. And he's coming out with some wild stuff. Now, for me, having believed in UFOs since the minute I was born, it doesn't take a lot to make me skeptical. I know that sounds crazy because most UFO believers will just believe in freaking anything. And when I was young, kind of believed in a lot of it, but they're grays. They're coming from Zeta Reticuli. I never believed that they're coming from Mars because that was more from the 50s. But you know what? I don't buy it. I don't buy it in the same way that I used to. I believe strongly that they are not coming from space. Nope. Originally, yeah. I don't think they're coming from space. I don't think there's any evidence of it. But where there's a huge amount of evidence, the ocean. They've been coming from the ocean the whole time. They fly out of the ocean. They go into the near atmosphere. Who knows where the hell they go in general, but we know where they're coming from in the ocean. It's very well documented. And U.S. battleships, Space Force, the Weather Service, the Navy, the Air Force, commercial fishing, the weather monitoring satellites is a very fascinating one because they really catch everything, and they've caught a lot. So if you want to believe in UFOs and UAPs, get on board if you don't already, because they're real. All you have to do is pay attention, and you have to keep one thing in mind. It's a hard pill to swallow. Almost every single thing you've heard is bullshit. They're not coming from space. They're not here to F us in the A, if you know what I mean. I don't know. There's never really been a lot of evidence for that. But what there is a huge amount of evidence for, and I'm talking evidence, I'm not talking iPhone videos. I'm talking actual evidence where in a court of law it would hold up, is all supporting that they're coming from the ocean. And if you look at the USS Nimitz incident in films and all of that, which is public now, if you look at David Fravor's fighter jet films and what he's come out and said under oath, if you look at David Grush, if you look at Luis Elizondo, if you look at all of them, and you look at the USS Omaha, which is the best intelligence vessel we got, look at that. It all supports from the ocean. Been saying this for a long time, and it's true. So take what they are saying as solid. Again, a court of law would hold up, and disregard idiots like Bob Lazar, Stephen Greer. I'm sorry, I know a lot of you love Stephen Greer. Get over it. You have to ignore them because they're just peddling the same stuff. Eric Von Donigan, I can't stand that guy. He can't stand me either. But I really can't stand him because he's lying. He's been proven to be a liar. But all these guys are peddling things, and they're claiming to be experts. There's no experts in UFOs. How can there be? How can you be an expert in something that we have not fully made contact with? The U.S. government's not experts. Yes, they've been covering it up for years, 80 years, about kind of since the nuclear age began. They have been covering up, but what they have not been covering up is that they have all the answers or that they're experts. Of course not. What they're covering up is that they know it's real, but they have a lot of ignorance. They don't understand it. Nobody understands it fully. They don't know what the hell this is. They don't know what's going on. They have recovered wreckage. They have biologics, which is an interesting term that they use and very important because that's different from bodies. They're admitting they have biologics. They don't got bodies, I don't think. Maybe they do. Who knows? I'm not an expert. No one's an expert. But biologics is that kind of gelatinous, living jello stuff that is in these craft coming out of the oceans. And it's alive, but it's not the same thing as what we think it is. I'm pretty sure about that. On this channel, I've gone way into overdrive lately. There's so much good info, and all the stuff that I've been so skeptical about, which I think confuses people. Like 9 out of 10 videos that come out, I debunk them easily. All it takes is just looking at it logically and not being one of those believers who just is like a fundamentalist. UFO fundamentalists are frustrating. There's a mind-bending amount of folklore, American folklore from the 50s until now, ever since Kenneth Arnold in 1947 saw those saucers. Mind-bending amount of folklore. And it's made for great movies. And I think some of it is true, but most of it is not. You know, you've got the military-industrial complex. You've got sci-fi. You've got new technologies flying around from the U.S. government and others all the time. You have weather patterns we don't understand. You've got all kinds of weird stuff, all in a fully congruent, in a giant Venn diagram, but you also have the real. And the interesting thing is, if you just take out the little green men from Mars crap, and you take out most of that mid-century 1950s American thinking, that they're either here on diplomacy, they want to talk to us. Oh gosh, they like have delegates and they have a Senate just like ours, just like Star Trek. If you take out that and you take out the thing that they just want to rape us, you know, to like abduct hillbillies and rape them like P. Diddy and plop them out in the middle of a field. If you just take all that out, the really credible ones always can be explained by under ocean saucer, tic-tac, spherical things. You can go right now off the coast of San Diego and see them. They're out there all day long. Fishing boats see them. The U.S. Air Force, Navy sees them all the time. Department of Homeland Security sees them. And they have declassified footage of these things. This is Department of Homeland Security. These are looking for drug runners. And they've filmed these things and made them public. On my channel, I have most of this stuff already sourced. But if your knee-jerk response is, you got to give me a source, bro, just ask in a comment. I'll give it to you again. It's fine. I totally understand the need for source upon source upon source. Because again, we've been lied to forever. So they are totally real. It's the cat is out of the bag. There's honestly, if you're really looking at all the facts, and if you're science-minded, it's real. But it's not what we say it is, or not what we've been told it is. It's, I believe, pretty firmly, von Neumann machines. It's not flying saucers coming from space with little dudes in it that look like, I don't know, from any one of the really good, like, Men in Black, those kind of movies. No way. You know what it's like? The Abyss. That one is the accurate one. They're way down in the ocean, and I believe they're von Neumann self-replicating machines that seed the universe. Einsteinian physics proved von Neumann was probably, or almost certainly right about the necessity for von Neumann self-replicators in the universe. They are like AI-driven ants that spread throughout the universe, and they eat, and they reproduce, and they produce exactly the same, like one-to-one reproduction of themselves, and they mine and they eat, but they're AI driven. I also believe that the evolution of biological life inevitably goes to AI, and it inevitably uploads to a cloud. We're almost there now. You know, if you listen to Ray Kurzweil, we'll be on a cloud in 30, 40 years from now. So I believe that most life starts biologically, and then at some point it puts it all together, uploads consciousness into the cloud, dies off, and then we're digital, so to speak. We're AI. So I think that these things are AI driven. They're like maybe the Borg in Star Trek. They're not like the Ferengi. They're more like the Borg. And they are down in the ocean mining. They have been for a long time. They are semi-intelligent, meaning they fly in formation. And this is what you can see if you go down there. It's just bizarre. But they'll be flying in a perfect square racetrack, stop on a dime in hurricane force weather. I mean, when I say stop on a dime, they just float there for hours. It's on film. They can go from 80,000 feet to the sea bed, where the ocean begins, in like a second. They can split into two and zip off two different directions. We have all of that documented. I can source that. We don't know what it is, but I believe they're von Neumann machines. I think that's the easiest answer. And they are somewhat aware of us. When a fighter plane like David Fravor's flies close, they lock in and they match speed, and they just go exactly the same way that the fighter jet will do, and they zip off. But they're not overly concerned. They're not emotional about it. They're not, like sneaking up on us and playing tricks and all that. No way. They just do their own thing and monitor, and they do send scouts or whatever the hell they are, but they tend to be the spherical ones or the jellyfish looking ones, into nuclear power plants, which is weird. I never really believed that because I tend to be skeptical about a lot of it, but turns out it's true. Look up the Mosul sphere. Absolutely real. These things are floating in nuclear power plant areas in some war zones, and there's nothing we can do about it except for film it. And when we do film it, if you look at the heat data on it, as Jeremy Corbell has been amazing about discussing and outing, and James Fox too, both of which I know in real life, and they're awesome. You can trust them. George Knapp, he's great. As they've been proving, there's heat sensor data. These are real objects. These are not holograms. They're not projections of something. They're real. And they're very weird. But this is all coming out of the ocean, and I believe that they're semi-intelligent, and they're monitors. It's like Nest cams or something. And they go in and out of there, and they're deep down, and we know where they are. And there's a dark turn that this has taken recently. And that's where I'm concerned, because we're getting more and more warnings that this is dangerous. Now, I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, but I sure as hell know we need to pay attention. So I've been on the warpath lately on my channel, and I am officially doubling my efforts. I'm not charging anything for this. It's free. It's info. And I'm not an expert. There aren't experts, so it doesn't feel right to charge. It's open discussion, and there's a whole bunch of BS, and that has to be sidelined. And that's where I think that I can help, because I've read more in 1 year on this subject than probably most people will ever read in their lifetimes times 5. Doesn't make me expert, but I've got a pretty good BS detector, and I've been proven right on a lot of this stuff. So welcome to my home office, and let's get into it. And contact me. I want to talk. I really believe this is real, and we need to start paying goddamn attention to it now. So if you want to hear it going forward, like and subscribe, but I'm doubling my efforts.